Thought I would share with everybody today a look into what I've got going on right now. Usually this whole area is for microgreens. This is in the basement of my home. Usually have those racks going over there. There's two racks. Each usually have at least 4 shelves of microgreens going. And right now they are not, due to current circumstances. And this time of year I'm always going to do my own seedlings anyways, but this is far above what I'm going to need for my own for seedlings. So what I thought we would do is plant in abundance and maybe sell some on the side. See how that goes. So this is a lot of tomatoes, various types. We got some Romas, we got some Chad cherry, some super sweet cherry. We have a bomb hybrid tomato. We've got peppers up here on this one. We got this is probably a jalapeno. These are what are called carnival peppers, just basically multicolored bell sweet peppers, effectively. This is probably some miscellaneous colored hot peppers, mixture probably of, I'm not even sure, I can't remember off the top of my head. And then these are some more of those bell peppers, some sweet bell peppers going on. Up here we've got some dill. That's, how many dill is that? I can't remember. 32, I think, maybe. 32 dill, basil, 32 basil, but you can see we've got a couple that didn't come in. And they're clump planted. Same with the dill, I clump planted. It's not single. But I'll transplant those into bigger pots later today. Here we've got some San Marzanos that were seeded a little later than everything else, but they've also been transplanted deeper, so they were taller, but I've moved them into these bigger pots and set them deeper down in. And we got some brandywines that still haven't been transplanted yet. They were originally seeded in here, a little too tightly, a little too hastily, but we're going to get those transplanted over too. And as you can see, the tomatoes down here are going gangbusters. They all need to be transplanted into bigger pots, but we're running out of space, so we're going to have to move outdoors. Thankfully, it looks like today, well, today's going to be in the 60s. We're going to get some rain tonight, but it's going to drop down into the 30s overnight tonight, so it's too cold to let anything sit out. I'll get them out at the end of the day to start hardening them off a little bit. Here we got some cucumbers, variety of cucumbers. There's some pickling cucumbers, some straight eights. Same down here. We got some squash and melons, watermelons over here. These are more brandywine tomatoes that were transplanted recently. These are best boy tomatoes that were transplanted recently into the bigger containers, so they're still waiting to get a jump and move and groove. And those are miscellaneous tomatoes and stuff over there. So down there is a pepper tray that still can be transplanted, but I don't know. And that was some old marigold seed that I thought I would just see what would happen, and it didn't come in very good, so we'll see what happens. But got some transplanting to do, and then we're going to move up and try to get things migrated outside, because any more transplanting is going to restrict my space. I either need to get another shelf, which I was gearing up to do because of the microgreen business, but because of circumstances that has sloughed off, and there's not much need for me to have this space to keep up with what I currently do for microgreen sales. There's not really a lot going on. So might bring in another shelf. I've got room. These move pretty tight together, these shelves do. And it's also good to keep them tighter together anyways, because that way the plants share in the light produced from the other shelves. And then there's a fan in the back, right back there. And I can have another one. There's another one I can post lower to circulate some air. So I got plenty of room to put in another shelf. I put this white plastic up for a reflective light to just help in the reflective light, also to minimize a little bit of the airflow from the rest of the house, But it's only on one side. I didn't get to finish the other side of the walls yet. But we will. It's rough. It's rough. It's rough. I know. It's not a pristine operation. You know, there's a window right there from the outside. But it is what it is. That's where I keep my seeds, in those containers. Blue bins are soil. But that was the other thing. You see these big trays down here on the bottom. We were just getting ready to transition into soilless microgreens. That was the big step. That was the big phase of transition. But right now, that's waiting, because all of these seedlings were taking priority, because microgreens aren't selling right now. But I have a feeling organic seedlings will. These are all organic. So I'm expecting there to be a market for these. We're hoping, anyway. So we'll see. I don't know. I'll keep you updated. I got some other projects going on for the outside. Of course, all the beds that these are going to go in. I want to share these beds that I've made, because the beds that I've made, I think, are pretty nice. Justin Rhodes actually started making them, and I picked up on his. They're not the cheapest, that's for sure, but they had a lot of versatility to what I've got planned, so what I've got going on. So I'll leave you here, and I'll pick back up with you guys outside here probably in a little bit. And we're outside, and we got lawnmowers going in the background, so we're just going to have to deal with that too. And chickens are coming to say hello, thinking we've got food. But here are the beds that I was talking about before, and it's a mess. Yeah, it's a mess. I've been busy sawing and building and putting things together. And I'm regretting putting this thin plastic on. It's what I had, but I think I'm just going to go to the store and buy some better stuff, because I'm not going to be happy with what that's going to do. Probably won't even last a year, that thinner plastic. I think it's only 3 mil. But these beds, so I put a little contraption up there for my tomatoes to run on, but you can see what these are. This one here has been set up as a self-irrigating bed, or a sub-irrigating bed. The bottom part of this bed has got corrugated black pipe in the bottom of it that runs back and forth across the entire length to set up an airspace that fills with water up to a certain point, and then there's probably a gap of about 1 inch or 2 of airspace where there's nothing. And that allows some good aeration to go on down there, so that the water doesn't become really nasty. But also the wicking of that water, the soil comes in contact with the water that's down there, and it basically wicks up and keeps the bed moist for the most part. And that had pretty good success last year. But you can see the way that these beds are made, the design of these beds, and things are an absolute mess. I'm in the middle of doing everything. But what I really like about these beds is the substance. They're very substantial. They're heavy. This is a 2x4 outer frame that's made inside. These are stacked deck boards, and you can do deck boards of various sizes. These are treated wood, but the bed is lined with this pond liner. It's got a pond liner here going all the way around, so the fact that these are treated doesn't come into play, but that really doesn't matter anyways. People get bent up on the treated stuff, and 20 years ago maybe that was a concern, but nowadays not so much. But anyway, so this is the bed that I've got going on. So in each corner we've got a 2x2 that runs up 36 inches, 3 feet from the top of the bed, which allows me to, as you can see, drape a shade cloth over, which is what I'm getting ready to do. I'm getting ready to move all my plants out here to start getting them hardened off. They'll sit inside here. I've got little rubber or plasticky space, or those swim noodles, whatever those things are, stuck on top of these 2x2 so they don't rip into the edges of this shade cloth. But anyway, so I'm going to move up all my plants, get them in here and get them hardened off. I've got this plastic fencing. This is what I use to wrap around. It just fastens back up here on this pole. and that's what allows me to keep my chickens out of it, so I can put my plants in here and grow my plants and keep my chickens out. And that is the plan for right now. So you can see the beds, and then this other project that I've got going on is a cold frame little section, which is more like a greenhouse in a way because it's pretty big. It's bigger than your average cold frame, but modular. I didn't want to use the PVC hoops because number one, that's a pain in the butt to put up and also to take down, and if you're going to do that twice a year at least, plus given what you're going to do because of temperature fluctuations, I just didn't want to get into that mess. So I'm building these frames. It'll be modular. I will have a PVC, 10-foot PVC pole that runs across the top with plastic over that, but that'll also be in its own frame, so it'll be its own separate kind of thing. But yeah, I'm hoping that works. So I'll keep you updated. I'm going to finish that project today, and I'll keep you guys updated on how that's going. But you can kind of see how these frames are made. They're pretty basic, and I think they'll work. I think they'll hold up. Here's my little stray kitty. She's been living here. She decided to make us her home last fall. Well, last summer really. She was just a teeny tiny little thing, and she decided to pay us a visit. You. And decided to stay. She liked hanging out with the chickens, I think. I don't know. I think she had some siblings that didn't make it because she was just looking for other people to hang out with. She wasn't a loner. She needed some companionship. She needed some friends. So she's moved in. I built her a little house over there in the corner. I'll talk about that sometime too. A little house. And this is the pasture rejuvenation project. Call it a pasture, but the chickens were a critical role in decimating this area. As you can see, this area over here is still pretty sparse and bad, but that's just the way it's going to be for right now. But we're rejuvenating this area. We'll let them back on when it comes back, and we'll let them on sporadically, intermittently. We're not going to let them come in and just devastate it and wreak havoc. That's going to come back, hopefully. But the chickens weren't the sole responsible party in that. Creeping Charlie was another one. Chickens don't like Creeping Charlie. There's some right there. Creeping Charlie. It was probably 60% of this space was Creeping Charlie, and because chickens don't like it, they didn't do anything to it. They didn't scratch it up, they didn't peck it apart. They went after all the grass and everything else that was growing in the area. So we're going to rejuvenate this back, get it going, give the chickens some more area to graze, get all the bugs and everything else. So I'll leave you guys on that. And of course, the chicken coop, still haven't painted it. That's just something, just, I don't know, just haven't done. It's just terrible. Haven't done, but we'll get to it soon. So I'm going to sign off from here. I'll keep you guys updated in later videos.